This beautiful Pontiac GTO sat buried in a garage for 40 years underneath miscellaneous belongings. It belongs to a Vietnam era veteran and he doesn't know I have it. In fact, he doesn't even know that it's missing. And with some good friends over the past couple months, we've done a lot of work to the car, but there's still a little bit left. I want to get new interior in here, new tires, timing chain, water pump, some other miscellaneous parts, tune it up and go through it one more time, bumper to bumper. Because I'm going to jump in it and attempt to drive it 800 miles to Florida and surprise the owner with it. Now, if you're just jumping in on this Pontiac GTO series, I do urge you to go back and watch the other videos so you can watch this story unfold. But basically a 32,912 foot view is first guy had to get her running, of course, and it runs pretty good. It does have some pretty bad blow-by, not much I could do about that. But I can take care of the suspected timing chain noise that I'm hearing up front. We'll dig into that in a little bit. But we've done a lot of work to the car already. Of course, we rehabbed the paint. It's filthy right now, but what a world of difference. I'm probably gonna hit it again with another coat of polish. This old paint has really just soaked her in. We've got a new brake booster, brake master, brake lines, all of the hardwares and shoes. We've got a new fuel tank, fuel lines, fuel pump, all of the necessary tune-up parts and accoutrements, all of the fluid changes, all of that is already done. We even spent some time polishing all of the chrome and stainless on the car. Now, I did sneak in a new exhaust system already. I'll show you that here in a little bit. And the interior is already actually complete. So I'm going to take you back in time and show you Dan, the interior man, digging into that. Dan, the interior man, he's back. He's tearing into this thing quickly. He's going to get this interior done for us, and there's a long list of other stuff to do as well. Let's dig in. Is that a piece of bubble gum? All being dipped. So through some recent discussions with Dan, he actually mentioned he himself is a Vietnam era veteran. And he said, look, I like what you're doing. I love this project. I've got the interior. It's on me. Super grateful for Dan and appreciate him a ton. He jumped on a plane, brought all this stuff with him, and he's just tearing into this thing right now. He's starting with the seats. He's going to get them uncovered. He's got new seat covers here to go onto those and new carpet as well. He's also going to do the Dan special on this and go through the plastics and little trim pieces and doodads, try to bring all that stuff around as best as he can as well. We're trying to leave as much original as possible. So other than the seat coverings, obviously, and the carpet, we don't want to just go in and replace a bunch of parts that don't need to be replaced, especially if they could just be refurbished. I've also got my friend Sandon here somewhere. He was helping tear in the interior. He did a bunch of vacuuming in there. Found a whole bunch of sand, and well, it's a Florida car, so that makes sense, but look how solid this car is. Look how nice these floors look in here. They're in excellent condition, especially for a car onto the coastuses. You know what I mean? This was down in Florida. Usually that salt water and stuff gets in here and really just wreaks havoc on them, but all the seam seal, the putty, the sound deadening, everything is just in excellent shape. So Sandon's already got her vacuumed out. I'm just gonna go through here and wipe up a few things, maybe try to touch up some of this is surface rust, but I can wipe a lot of that stuff out and just make sure that I kill it with some rust treatment. And then Dan is over here disassembling the seats, getting the old covers off. Wow, those frames look good.
Yeah, they're terrific.
Jeez.
All the bolts have come out easy.
Bolts are coming out easy. That's great. Normally those are all surface rusted and grody looking. Even the burlap's in good shape.
Yeah.
Wow. Pretty lucky there. Here's the new covers he's going to be putting on. Here's some of the old findings. Got some old notes and things like that. Look at that, an old movie ticket. I'm gonna kind of dig through that and see if there's any memories in there we can keep for him. Found this really cool old, you know, for the old cap guns. That's pretty neat as well.
Dan's sprucing up the trim here. Believe it or not, Craigslist rebuild. Brought her around, cleaned her up with some Windex, looks like. This is the old, you can see it's just really kind of discoloring. It's not even really chrome anymore. It's like more like a gold. But that's gonna give it a nice color. You hit it with some clear right now. Look a lot better. Dan's coming to the end on one of the buckets here. What a difference that made. Wow. Dan's got the seats finished. They look fantastic. He's in there putting seat belts in right now. This interior is going to look really sharp. Thankfully, the door cards and everything are in really good shape. He's getting the belts in. Those are nice and clean. Good. Carpet's in. He's got the center console in, looking really sharp. He's gonna pull some magic right now. For a package tray back there, remember it was that old shag carpet stuff. Dan's rooting around in boxes back there. He's gonna cut a chunk out and make a package tray out of cardboard. I'm telling you, this guy he's the real deal. Big enough chunk, you think?
I think so. If it's not, we'll fix it.
There we go, fellers. Cardboard package tray. Can't even tell. Looks amazing, and the black matches really, really well. You did a good job matching the black vinyl, like the grain and everything.
Yeah, it worked out.
What are you making down here?
I'm covering up these arm covers.
Oh, nice. Okay. These aren't too bad a shape. Is that the driver, probably?
Yeah, that's the driver, but it's going to become the passenger. And there's glue on top of it or something.
Oh, okay.
But it should be driving.
Nice.
That's okay.
He's brushing on glue over here, and then you cut them after you glue them, huh?
Yep. I'm just going to set them in the middle and then pull them over.
Well, here's Dan's finished project, and it looks fantastic. Covered the door panels, he painted up all the trim, he cleaned everything, new carpet, looks amazing. And again, all of this is original, like we didn't buy new plastics or any of that, which is really cool. So how do you think it turned out? You happy with it?
Oh, I'm real happy with it. I'd love to have the right chrome strips, but that's the way it goes.
Yeah. And once again, Dan himself, veteran himself, paid for the seat covers and the carpet and his time and everything. So Dan, thank you very much for jumping on with the project.
You're
Appreciate
welcome.
it. And as always, tremendous job. Looks fantastic. So as you can see, the interior turned out incredible. It looks amazing. Another thank you to Dan for donating the materials on that. All I had to do was fly him down and pay him for his time. He took care of the rest, and I really appreciate that. We did our best to keep it as original as possible. So a lot of the plastics and trim and handles and things like that, we just left alone and cleaned them up as much as possible and just replaced what was necessary. So I think it's a really good mix in there. Now I'm going to turn my attention to the engine. We'll probably do the tires last, because this is honestly a pretty big project. And well, I'd like to leave in the morning, which gives me a handful of hours. We've got 800 miles to cover. So the rad, the fan, charging whirler, all of this stuff needs to come out of the way. I'm actually hoping to see a stretched timing chain, or a pretty sloppy one. Getting a weird noise, and I heard it right away when we first fired this puppy up a couple months back, I think it was. But right when you get on the throttle and come off, it's just a slap or a snap noise. I'm hoping that chain is hitting the case, or it's that slack that we're hearing catch up in there. Either way, I don't want to take the chance hurting this engine further, so I'm going to go ahead and spend the time and just get that done. And I want this to be something that he could just jump in, turn the key, and go cruise. So let's just jump right in, blow this thing apart, and see what we got with that timing chain.
The guy's going to start just by getting the Whirly-Woo Windmaker off, getting the broken shroud. Oof, the May, I wish I would have ordered one of those. Just honestly slipped my mind. Get the radiator out so we have enough room in here because we got some pullage to do down here. And then just go ahead and start blowing all of this off until we get into that timing cover case down here. And I don't know. Let's see what we find. Well, I'm to the point. Got to get the bottom bolts off here for the timing cover. I left that in and cleaned it while it was in the car, just kind of as a fixture to hold it so a guy can, you know, brush its teeth. And boy, we got a lot of stuff off of that. Couldn't even tell the color. And also cleaned up the block up there as much as I could, stuff like that. But while I got this up, let's take a look at this exhaust. My buddy Chad did this for me, and it just looks amazing. I wanted this to have a kind of a mellow sound, but muscle carish when you get into the onions, you know, and that's what he did here. And stock style exit with nice double wall stainless tips. Looks really, really good from the back. Just like it should. He really spent his time working the angles in here. Painted everything wherever he welded. Looks really good. Very nice job. We got an oil leak going on up there. I'm hoping it's that same timing cover. Transpan looks good. I'll look over everything under here one more time before we take off. I must want to check this again. Just small things like that before we hit the road. But anyway, gonna knock these bottom timing cover bolts out. Lower the car again. I guess I cracked this fuel line off too while I got that in my teeth. Then we can pull this off and see what we got going on.
Well, time to take a peek. I know some of you are probably thinking, Guy, you're leaving tomorrow morning. What are you doing? But listen, sometimes you gotta follow your guts. You know what I mean? I knew I heard something, and I did. I'm glad I'm doing this. Come over here and look at this real quick, would you? Oof to me.
So like I was saying, I was thinking I was hearing something up here in the front end and kept coming around to the timing chain, and these Pontiacs are kind of known for that. Well, look at this. This thing is more sacked out than Tom Brady. And I ain't kidding you. That's the sound we were hearing. Every time we'd just kind of crack it and let off, it's that chain slop. And it's really bad. So I got it on TDC, dots facing up. This one's kind of hard to see, but it's up there. We'll clean it up a little bit. Get this pulled off and get it back on a new set. Ease this guy off here. There we go. Old worn out set off for good. Kind of going through all these parts here, and it's just confirmation for me, I believe. And I'm not a Pontiac expert by any means, but I believe this is a legit low mile car. Original engine. Definitely the original timing chain set. You can sometimes get 100,000 out of them, I guess. But that's what I'm told. All of this is a Ridge. Definitely the original water pump. And this is why I went ahead and ordered one of these, because I figured this is what we were going to get into. And it's very gravelly, the bearing. Look at the water level where this sat all those years. You can see that was submerged just like that. I don't know if these tins come with the new pump. I'm going to try to clean them up, otherwise they're in pretty rough shape. Do my best there. Timing cover.
appears to be the original one. Again, we'll have to clean all of this up. Oofta. Just really gunky. Clean it up best I can. Seal doesn't look that bad, surprisingly. I don't quite understand that at all, but it is what it is. As far as the block goes, I don't want to drop that into the pan. I'm going to stuff some rags down in here. That is, in fact, the oil pan. And get to cleaning as best as I can up here. Make sure we have a nice mating surface for when everything, snips back in there, and then we'll snag on the hardware. Pretty much the reverser order. I'm just going to start by cleaning the block first so I can get the timing chain set on. And then I might call it a night after that. We'll see how much of a fight it is getting that on. Well, a guy deployed the cheek poker, and got some brake rejuvenation spray and some other stuff in here. And now she's cleaner than my grandma's driving record. I ain't even kidding you. So we're all set there. By the way, I'm pretty positive that's where that Earl leak was coming from. That cork was just paper thin. We'll fix her. We'll fix her up. I'm going to pull the rags out, start working that new Melling stock style timing chain back on. And if I'm successful there, I think I'm going to shut it down for tonight. Well, actually, it's early in the morning. Get a couple hours of sleep, and we got to button this up and just hit the road. Cleaned up both snouts really good. Then I threw on some of this Ultra Slick. It's pretty tacky, so once you lubricate it up, it's going to stay put while we get all this kind of pressed on there. And then once that's done, I'll probably oil just an old Earl can or some valve train spray or something like that, just so the chain's not dry on initial fire up. Obviously, it's going to dip a toe fairly quick, but just so it's not dry. Already test fit both of these. We're in business. I just got to make absolutely sure dots are up when I put this together, and I got to walk it on with the chain. It's a dance, but I could have missed the pain, but I would have missed the dance. Is that how it is? I can't remember. I kind of got that top one just hanging out. It's on the keyway, and I'm just trying to see where I need to be. Might take a couple stabs to get this right, but we'll see what we can come up with. No, first shot can't be, but I'm looking right at it. Dot is straight up. Dot is straight up. I guess the guy's been around the block, is what I'm saying. That is better. Much better. I was a highwayman. On the coach road I did ride. Oh, I'm messing up my gasket surface. Oh, I really am badly. That's all right. This is Comp Cam's valve spring lubrication, but it's also going to do me a good job there. Just being very careful not to drop anything in the old Pontiac bucket down there, Well, we had a really good night. Full disassembly, got the new timing set on. That's looking great. Tomorrow I got to finish cleaning all these other parts that we're going to use. New water pump, full assembly again. And I'm looking forward to seeing how this thing's going to run now with this new timing set. It's pretty incredible how well it ran before. Going to get a couple hours of sleep. We'll see you guys at sunrise. How many tools have I lost so far? Never ends. Well, good morning. Running way behind as usual. It's been a madhouse around here trying to get ready. Had to go get the cargo trailer, hook that onto the truck, unload the Camaro from the Tucson dragway thing we did out there. Then I had the Sprinter on the property here, Hubcap Hills, Rusty Acres, make sure everything was either drained or had the proper ice cube juice in it. It's been in the 20s here in Tennessee, and it's supposed to be for several days. Uh-oh, that's a freezer. I got to make sure everything's not going to explode, and yeah, we'll lose
couple blocks, basically. Where I'm going to start today is just cleaning up all these parts, see what we got to put back together, and just get right on this thing. I am already hours and hours behind, and we've got that 800-mile trip just, you know, it's like mistletoe. It's just hanging there, you know what I mean? So I think we'll start with the timing cover. Oh my word. We've got crustaceans. Well, we know it's going to time better. I wonder if it'll cool better. Nope. Exact same. Aha! Said the blind man. That actually will help quite a bit, won't it? It will. I just got done running the timing cover through the wash tank. Nope. I definitely just hit it with some more brake clean, but man, it's looking a lot better. Gonna go ahead and drive in a new crank seal on this. The other one looks pretty good, but mazel. But I don't know. You know, we're here, so let's just do it. I got this pretty nifty bearing driver set thing. I actually just borrowed it from O'Reilly and never took it back. Whoops. But anyway, I'm going to take a little bit of room temperature vulcanization cream, the right stuff, the gray stuff, it's the only stuff, and just lightly smear it around this. A lot of people say don't do that, but I like to. One, lubrication, get her in there all the way. Two, there's going to be some small imperfections in that aluminum, and this is going to take up that gap. Okay. Just a tickle. Bring it around this way. Spin this around so I don't warp the inside. Ow! Injury. I gotta get just a tickle more. That can't be the new spring, is it? Sure enough. Knock the scents out of the seal. There we go. Perfect. I'll put a little bit of grease on this seal so when we install it, it's not dry. And then the oil will do the oil thing after that.
So as with any engine, fellers, when we're putting gaskets in, it's the mating surfaces of different devices or angularizationals that are going to cause leaking. And on the Pontiac, it's right here. Leak number 2, and eventually leak 3, 4, 5 through 14, subsection D. Now, we don't really have a choice. You got two options. A little bit of rid of, put a cork in there and pray. If you're really good, you can lay a 1/4 inch bead, but keep in mind this slides in. So if you're going to do that, it's best to pull the studs if you can, so you can more drop it in, then run your studs in. You can also take the guides out of the timing cover, put them in the block as a positional reference, and then float over the rivet. Or if you're doing a new engine build, I would highly recommend getting a nice one-piece seal, and then what you do is actually put a kink in it right there and right there respectively to come down over that fold so you don't have that little gap in there. I'm gonna squirt some rid of in here first, and then use some gasket shellac, lay the cork in there, let that seat eat and cook, come back over top of the cork and do another bead over top of that, and hope that that's going to prevent it from leaking on us.
Got this fancy juice shooter and I am not used to it. I can see it being really handy once a feller gets the technique down. Again, just a reminder,
more so to myself, being awfully careful not to drop anything into this pan, because then, well, we're dropping the whole pan. Not fun. This is just basically Elmer's glue for gaskets. It's just going to hold it right in place for us while we figure life out, you know. Okay. See how big of a gap there was between the block and the pan? And we just took that up with this. We're going to flatten it out a little bit, but not too much, because we want that timing cover to, you know, join forces, so to speak. Miscellaneous hardware here. Hold this where we want it for now. Let that start drying. I'm going to do something similar to the timing cover gasket, but I'm actually just going to use some gray. Pretty interesting design these Pontiacs had, and we don't want any of this leaking. Just enough to get her tacky. We got two studs to kind of hold it up in the air, but we want this to seat against the block. So when we get everything else lined up, we're not fighting to get this lined up with it. There you go. Say hi to your new friend down there. Same over here. Play nice. Smear those together. Just like that. At least the rad didn't leak 58 gallons of Adif all over the floor. Nope, it definitely did. Oof. She's a little fragile. It's like a sunken ship. There's that line again, where it sat all those years. Wish I had a little bit more time to find some replacement pieces here, but I just don't. I cleaned these up really good. I mean, as good as they possibly can get. I'm also spraying some rust fix on here. It's gonna stop this rust on contact, or at least slow it down as much as possible, and it's not gonna come off in that cooling system and go through everything else. While this is drying, we'll go ahead and put that timing cover on. I kind of like to put the water pump and everything on as a unit and then slide it in. It just saves on the bacchanatus, you know what I mean? But it's 6 and 1/13 baker's dozen or whatever. You can get two birds with the stones. One way or the other way is two rocks with the bird. So it doesn't matter. Okay, clean the snout again. Made sure everything was surgicals. Gasket is pretty tacky on the bottom. I think we're okay. That cork won't walk on us. I'm gonna pull those bolts out. My holding fixture clampetitis. Smear a little bit more silicone on that and go ahead and lay this in. I got engine assembly lube over the chain on the fuel pump wobbler idle 600 XL thing, and then also put some engine assembly lube around the seal. Make sure it stays nice and soft and lubricated while it fires up and gets some oil splashed in there the native way. This is about as clean as I can get it. That was plugged solid, so that's going to help some crosstalk into the intake there. Things are looking up, is what I'm saying. So let's go ahead and see if I can work this back into place without ruining everything I just did. Just got my brand new shop shirt with the new design on it in. First time wearing it, completely ruined it. Wait till you see this. Jessica's gonna be really impressed. Okay, easy. I'm kind of lifting up on it right now. Seat. Then I'm going to Just loosely run these in to hold it. 'Cause we're gonna go underneath again and get the bottom oil pan bolts in first. Critical. And then we're gonna make sure that we're perfectly centered down there for the wobble spinny doodad that shoots out the pulley bobs down here in the bottom. Got it? Good. Yeah, looks good. No. Completely ruined. Idiot. Okay, what were we doing? Oil pan bolts. Well, I ran the optical scanners on this. They're a little outdated, but nonetheless, they came back and said, this is looking pretty good. Good enough for the girls we date, anyway. All right, we need to snug them up a hair. Going into aluminium, maybe about 10 foot-pounds. Seating. Retina injury. Seating. I had placed them water pump doodads in there just to see how they were fitting, and they attacked me. God damn! Way too much coffee. Boy, you don't think 10 foot-pounds sounds very much, but it does, especially when you're going into aluminium. Woo! Really make a guy pucker up. Well, I wonder if it's 5 foot-pounds. I ain't even got a 5 foot-pounds. Can I go negative poundage on this? Talking about the good old times. You know, the way things used to be. I've worn out the same old lines. Well, it seems like nothing's news to me. Come on, just click. You're scaring me. Thank you. There we go. Check. That's looking good. Got a nice contact down there. Just a little bit of squish up there and over here, but not super messy or anything like that. That should seal up really nice. We'll grease up the snout again one last time before we stick everything together, and also the shaft or coupler or whatever you want to call it of the whirly doodabber. So when that starts spinning on the seal, it's not doing it dry. All right, we'll bring her back down, get to work. We'll go up one more time in the end to probably put the fuel pump on. The 4 other timing cover bolts and 2 nuts, 25 foot-pounds. Oh, there it is. This is really unfortunate. I just noticed it. It's so rotted right here. It took a chunk of the aluminium case out, and there's like a 1/16 of an inch on the edge. Likely, very. That is gonna leak. I hope not. I'm gonna try to patch it with maybe a Scotia JV weld, and then while that's tacky, maybe come over it with some RTV or something. I don't know. I'll try to figure something out to fix that. Well, a guy decided to do it the rid of way. If they're gonna have it welded or replace it, doesn't make sense to goop it up and make it more difficult for the next guy. So this way they can at least clean it up if need be. These will also be 10 foot with the pounds. Now before a guy torquilizes the timing cover down to 25 foot-pounds on there to the block,
I'm gonna let it tack up a little bit. I got a bunch of Ritiv around there, and then also from the timing cover to intake crossover, which is notorious for leaking, not the BIG, but water leak is what I'm saying. We're gonna wait a little bit. I'm gonna move my focus over to sparkulators. I don't know where I put them, they're around here somewhere. I got a couple to put in underneath the AC pump, and then we'll have fresh sparkulators all the way around.
Well, number 4, missing half its strap. Been a while since I've seen that. The one I'm working on right now is this guy. And, well, you can't even see it, is what I'm saying. Well, I gotta get my meat mitts. There's the lightning hose. I gotta get my meat mitts. I may end up just taking that out of there, unfortunately, to get to it. I can't even tell you how many thousands and thousands of cars I've worked on, repaired in my life. And I've seen some stuff where you kind of just scratch your head and go, why would they do this? How in any one of our planets does this make sense? Then you try to get the front sparkulator out of a Pontiac and you realize, well, I have seen it all now. 74 years later, I realized that I not only have to take the entire AC system out, but I also have to take off the AC bracket that attaches the AC pump to the engine. But wait, it gets better. The AC bracket is actually head bolts to the vehicle as well, because there is no physical, see the angle of the sparkulator? You cannot get that out scientifically and physically without removing that bracketry. Why? Who did this? Why did you do that? This? No. Stop it. I mean, we might as well just put rings in it at this point. I like this cute little depression, like, oh, this will help. And then they get it attached to the engine and realize there's no way that it's going to happen. Why didn't they just make it 2 different legs? This is 74 pounds of steel. I'm pretty sure missing this section would still hold that up. Just saying, but I'm not an engineer, so. Okay, last sparkulator going in, and I guarantee you it's the one from the showroom floor because of this. Sure enough. Now I broke it trying to angleize it, you know, but you can't. So old it just says AC. Not even a part number on this. And she is shot. So it's worth it. I'll get a new sparkulator in, get all this put back together. I'm gonna go chew on a sandwich, and then we'll torquelize all this down here and get back to work.
Oh, me? Just changing the spark plug. For Pete's sake.
Oh, freeze plug's good. That's neat. All right, got her in here nice enough now we can actually make that belt taut when we get to that point. But for now, I'm gonna go chew on a sandwich really quick, rest my back for a couple minutes, and then we'll get back to this and try to button it up.
French dip sandwich, wholly acquired. Okay, so this should be set up enough we can torquelize the timing cover, torquelize the water pump later, and just, you know, we're reversing what we just previously did. So all that stuff, I'm gonna go ahead and snip it back on now.
Unfortunately, leaving early this morning has now turned into this evening. So we're going to be driving at dark for sure, which the retinas don't do anymore. We also have to make sure we got headlights and taillights. I can't remember if we got that far or not, but we're doing it now. Great. Things are progressing pretty good. Got all this torquillated down. Belts just a boop, boop, boop. High E on the old rope there. So I think I'm going to get all of the belts on, get everything snugged up first, probably even put the fan on, then drop the radiator in. I've decided not to put that busted up shroud in. It's not doing anything but potentially just breaking more or getting in the way. It needs replaced. Unfortunately, I don't have one. That's a bummer, but it doesn't make sense to put it back. It's not doing anything. But we're getting really close. A couple belts, fan, radiator. We can fire this thing back up, see how it sounds.
Well, the GTO is all back together. I got a little bit of ice cube juice in it. Time to twist on the ignition sticks. See what it tells us here. Dead battery. That's weird. Okay. Boost box. Engage. It's got a prime fuel. Yes. There we go. It's alive. Oh yeah, that noise is completely fixed. It already sounds so much better, but I'm gonna let it warm up for a few minutes here, burp out the cooling system. We'll hook on the old timing light. I can already hear with my hero meter, she's a little bit retarded on the timing. We'll fix that. While that's going on here, I'm gonna start prepping the area back here. We still got tires to put on this thing. I gotta clean up. Sun's going down. We're still gonna have to try to cover some ground because I can't do 800 miles in one day. I just ain't a spring chicken no more. Plus, I'm not gonna push this hard. We're gonna be just moseying, you know what I mean? Boy, listen to that thing. Sounds really good.
Not a single leak anywhere. And it's running much, much smoother. Still needs to warm up a little bit, but we definitely got her, fellers. Huge improvement. Guys getting ready to pack the trunk with some tools and stuff. Look what I found in here. How cool is this? I don't want to snoop in it in case there's something in it, but wow, that is really, really cool. I'm gonna set that back there. We got a potato sack, some rope, flat spare. I'm gonna make some room right here and just put a toolkit in here and a light, some stuff like that. So this is really interesting. As you guys know, we've ran this engine quite a bit now, right? Look at that front cylinder where we changed the sparkulator. It's smoking. The reason that thing is smoking just on that front area of that head is it's never fired, or if it has, it wasn't firing a lot. It was a hit and miss. It was probably that cylinder I was hearing that was down a little bit, you know what I mean? Which made sense. We saw evidence of the sparkulator that had never been changed since it rolled off the showroom floor, it looked like. And if it had, it was years and years and years and years and years ago. So she's banging all night. Sounds really good. That mystery noise is gone. It's a lot more crisp on the throttle. Still have to get in here and put the timing light on it. I'm just letting it come up to temperature first, and I'll do that. Whilst I'm cleaning up, trying to find my 5/8. I don't know. Charging. Circulating nice. Still not a drip. Well, we're on the tires here now. These were on the car when I got it, and they're technically new. no mile, but they're bad. They're old. They've been sitting. They had pimples on them. The belts are bad. I believe the son put them on to roll it around and keep it off the ground, which is the right thing to do. But they're not going to make an 800-mile trip, and they're not going to work for the owner. So I'm going to put some new rubber on this thing. Now, digging through the car when we first got it, cleaning it out, there was a Goodyear wide track assist in the trunk, which is a period correct kind of tire. And I got to thinking, I bet you the owner, if he could choose any tire in the land, it would be something cool, but period correct. So I landed on these beautiful single red stripe Super Sport white ovals by Firestone. They're absolutely period correct. In fact, Pontiac kind of made the single red stripes popular back in the day, and then we saw them on a couple different cars, the double red stripes on the pony cars and so forth. And they're the real deal. Super belts. I think they look really good on the car. I got 3 left to throw on quick. They are a bear. They're a little bit narrower than the wheels, so it takes a little bit of time and patience to get them seated and beaded, you know what I mean? But going to start in the back, get the front done quick, and then it's dark. It's dark time now. Great. Early, I said. Guy had used the fuel can, set the wheel on, jump up and down like a kangaroo, get one side seated, then I could pull up on it. But man, does it look good. They all balanced out okay. Got the weights hidden behind the poverty rings there. Looking really sharp. Just double checked everything. Got my tools in the trunk. Air cleaner on. Fresh battery, I think. We're ready to hit the road. Gonna throw my backpack in and fire it up. Snagging on some fuel. We got brights and the dims. We got tail lights. It's something I didn't even think of. We even got a heater in this thing. It doesn't blow out of the vents. It's blowing. I don't know where it's going, but as long as it's leaking heat, that works for me. Man, this thing looks good. Got to top her off with fuel, jam it on the highway. Well, I did go on right ahead and pick me up a double cheese. Plain, but throw on some onions and some mac sauce for me. Poor guy's Big Mac, you know. And got me a top cup of coffee. The cigarette lighter actually works. So I got a charger lighter for the first time in forever, which that's handy for the JIP system. Really nervous, actually. Normally, if it's my rig, I just jam along the road and whatever happens, happens. But this ain't my rig, and obviously it's very special for multiple reasons. First time on the highway in 4 decades. And, man, just hoping for a safe trip here. Hope nothing happens to the car. That's the most important thing to me. Been in contact with Chris. He is the owner's son, and just going to be updating him as we go. And if we get into a situation where we got to make a call on something, he's going to be making the call. And whether that means towing this or hauling it or whatever it may be, that's what we're going to do. But we're going to do our best to get this thing down there on the highway and hopefully prove that it's roadworthy and these guys can enjoy it and just jump in and do their thing. Or, well, we're going to find what needs to be fixed still, I guess. But here we go. Well, a guy got a little bit knocked off tonight. Gonna go ahead and pull over, get some rest. Just got to Birmingham, Alabama. Found a motel here on the way. Car's doing fantastic. 0 complaints. All the lights are working, the blinkers. High speed came around on the heater fan, which is great. There for a while it was about, I don't know, 15 degrees, you know, and the windows were icing over. But last 7 minutes, comfortable. That's great. Only doing about 50, 55, taking it really, really easy. wheel bearings, axle bearings, transmission, all the head gaskets and gaskets, and everything just kind of come back around, come back to life. 4 decades, a long time for a car to sit up. Tomorrow, we might pick up the speed just a tickle, especially since we'll have daylight, maybe a little bit more heat in case something happens. Hopefully we don't have to wrench on it too much, but I'm gonna throw the hooves up for a little bit. We'll see you guys bright and early tomorrow morning. We still got a long ways to go. Hey, good morning. Day 2 of our 800-mile adventure from Tennessee to Florida. Car is still here this morning. That's fantastic news. And I even remembered the key in the motel room, so that's pretty good. We're gonna check on the Earl and stuff this morning. I don't see any huge leaks or anything under there. See a couple drips of additive, but I know that's from when I disconnected the go forward, go backwards machine. I lost a little additive in that tray right there, and I think that's what's dripping down, but we'll pop the hood, check everything over. We'll have to get to a fuel station. We had about a quarter tank of fuel left, which means it's not getting very good fuel mileages, but what do you expect? You got all them horses in the power barn, you know what I mean? And a press, for Pete's sake. So let's pop this power barn open, speaking of it. See what we got this morning. Well, we did get a pretty good run in last night. I don't see any oil leaking. The dreaded timing covered intake port isn't leaking. All the belts are looking good. Don't see any evidence, anything splattered anywhere or anything like that. It's looking good. Throw some juice back on her. And I gotta check the Earl over here. It's best to do it right away in the morning if a guy can, because then you ain't even got a wipe on it. Well, I pulled some gunk out of the dipstick with it. Okay, well, I'm gonna have to wipe it this morning because I just scraped it on something. Run inside, get some towels. Yeah, a guy just used the old pants cuff. She is low. We used a little bit of Earl last night. I was in such a hurry, I didn't throw any T4 or anything in the trunk, so guessing we're gonna do fuel stop, swing into a parts store, grab some Earl and a couple other things, and then we'll hit the road. Let's do a cold start this morning, see if it'll fire right up, hopefully. Okay. Oh, wants to. Look at that. There we go. Good morning, GTO. Hoping for another good day today. Just nice, easy cruise. Keep her safe between the mustard and the mayonnaise. You know what I mean? And enjoy the views. Okay, I got a Google Web search up some kind of service station or fuel station. And we'll see what's the closest parts store. Pick up some goodies. Gasolina. Boy, it's getting expensive, ain't it? We can also calculate the MP of the G's so I can figure out what the gauge is telling me. We didn't really go that far last night. A couple hours, 2.5 hours, something like that. But I can Google Web how far I've went, do the divisions with the math, carry the 3, add in the 2% or whatever, and then we'll know what we can do per tank so we're not guessing the whole trip. Because I feel like we're going to be doing this a lot today. Aren't we, you big old dog? Okay, tire stayed up. That's good. I tried to clean up the beads on these wheels. Definitely the original wheels. They've seen some stuff, but they're running really nice. I mean, for these older style, they're smooth. I ain't kidding you. It's like butter at grandma's. You know, it's always melty and on the table. Well, the fuel gauge surgery we did making this work is in fact working. It showed I had about a quarter tank. That's where we're at. That's what we're doing. Guys, gonna grab breakfast, also known as a burnt hot dog from yesterday, a cup of coffee. We'll find a parts store here. Guy did swing into an O'Reilly. I'm gonna grab some stuff here. I think my power steering's getting a little low. I didn't see a leak. I'm not sure. Maybe this needs to be topped off. Get some hand towels and some air fresheners. Hopefully they got
the bourbons.
I got some PS juice repair just in case that seal's dry. I'll be banging it around. Some towels, got some snake oil. Had to go with the fresh shave. They were out of the bourbons. Now I got some glass cleaner, clean the windscreen, and of course some engine oil as well. You can see the shop line prints on the glass there. Well, sure enough, this is drier than Bob Barker's back. In fact, I can see the pumpulator right down in there. I do see the gearbox is a little wet. So, there's no play. That seal's probably just, you know, she's getting a little old. But we'll see if we can bring it around. I got this rebuild sauce right here. Says it'll fix it. Guaranteed. Plus it smells like lemons. Oh, that's a steering wheel. Never mind. Well, all the snake oils are applied. I guess we're ready to once again stick this thing on the highway. 150 miles, something like that. Then we'll stop for fuel again, check everything over. Well, another fuel stop. I think I'm like 130 miles in again or something. I realized I forgot to calculate the mathematicals on the MPGs of the power maker. So I swung out a little bit early just so I can get that number and play it safe. See what we come up with here. Well, it was 132 miles, 8.8 gallons of fuel. So divided by 6, carry the 3, multiplied by 14.9. That's 15 miles to the gallon, which not bad. Again, I'm going really slow and cruising, but for a 400, you know, pulling some weight, I'll take it. Now we know how many miles we can go per tank, even though the fuel gauge is working. It's just always nice to make sure. So let's stab her back on and see if we get another 150, 200, 11, 900 out of it. Now. Got the GT Hero topped off again. Running great, flawlessly. Zero issues, no hiccups. Was pinging a little bit on that last gas I got, wherever that was. Oh great, I think it was a marathon. Anywho's, I'm using 93, best I can get wherever I'm going. But gonna grab some snacks, another cup of coffee. It's gonna be a long, late night, but we're pushing through. As you can see, the sun is basically down at this point. Thankfully, headlights are working. We just run with the high beams on because it's still dimmer than 96.34% of the cars out there, especially the ones with the Alien lights and the Helio things and the... Why? I can't see where I'm going, fella, when you turn it off. Okay? Anyway, we'll grab some snacks. How about some jerky? Some nacho cheese to dip it in. Sounds like a good supper. The guy is making her into Florida. We're fairly deep into Florida now. Car is running fantastic. It's like it was never parked. It's incredible. Hard to explain. Getting a little tired, but I'm going to grab some liquid caffeine here and just something to chew on, keep me busy. But I know a lot of you are emotionally attached to this car and the story and the owner. And thank you for all of the emails and letters of encouragement and praise towards them and prayers towards the family and himself as he's working through his medical stuff and on his recovery journey. And
with the blessing of his family, wanted to share some news, but long story short, we are not going to be surprising the owner of the GTO with the car. We are unable to meet him. As if he's not fought enough, he's obviously battling some pretty serious medical issues, and as of right now, I got word he is scheduled for an amputation. And obviously that takes precedence, and prayers to him and his family for strength and recovery. And he's tough. He's going to get through it. I know he will. That being said, we're still going to Florida. It's just the least I can do is try to put some smiles on some faces. So instead of meeting him, we're going to meet his son, his children and family and friends, and we're going to do it in a different fashion. So here's the plan. There's an event at Freedom Factory this weekend, so we're going to meet there, and I'm going to set up Chris, his son, and his family and his friends with VIP passes at the Freedom Factory. They can walk the track, they can go through the pits, they can watch the show. I'm going to park the GTO at the Vice Grip Garage tent. It's going to be parked right next to Independence, so everybody else can see it, and the family can see it. They can enjoy the show, and then they can drive this bad boy home. And maybe for an evening, you know, they can enjoy themselves and smile and laugh and have a little bit of fun. So that is now the plan. We're going to beeline it towards the Freedom Factory, and we'll meet up with the owner's family and show them the car, show them what we've done, and we'll get to see them off in it. And in their own time, when the time is right and it feels right, they can show him the car. But right now, we pray for his recovery and hope that everything goes well there. So that being said, I'm going to fuel up, get something to bite, and I got quite a few hours left. So let's just get on the road, keep her moving.
Well, fellas, it is early in the morning the next day, but we made it by hotel, motel, 3.5, whatever it is, right down the road. The GTO is running like a top. Brought her up to speed, allegedly, once there. I just wanted to see if it had any bad shakes or steering wheel, whatever. Felt completely comfortable. Gonna fill her up tonight yet. Check all the fluids, make sure the oil's topped off and everything like that. Tomorrow morning early, we'll run over to the Freedom Factory. Can't wait to show Chris and family, and that way the car is ready to go. All they got to do is jump in, twist the key, and hit the road. So see you guys here bright and early. Good morning. So here's the deal. Expedia canceled my hotel room last night. No warning. It's been booked for a couple of years now. Checked on it frequently. Made sure my check went through. It did. And then they were supposed to find me another room, and they didn't do that. And then I was on the phone for 38 hours. Long story short, I'm in Cuba, basically. So I have like a 2-hour drive to the Freedom Factory today. It's fine. Super late, even better. So I'm just gonna fuel up, get there as quick as possible. I'm gonna make a quick stop at a parts store, get some spray wax, something to shine the dash up, and then yeah, that's kind of how my day is starting. So it's fine. Oh, and looks like, yeah, got a parking ticket because apparently the giant parking lot that says parking here, immediately next to said motel that was $74 billion a night, is not the parking lot. That's fine. Well, I got on the line. Not as bad as I thought. About an hour and 15 minutes with traffic. Come on now. Oh yeah. Gotta hook up the battery and put the lightning hose in. Okay, security system turned off. Oh, more fuel. There we go. Good morning. One last little trip, buddy, then you go back to your family. 89,470 some miles now. You gotta add a little bit more to that yet. The GTO made it to the Freedom Factory. We're front and center right by the burnout pit here. It's gonna be pretty cool. I got little man and the family showed up. He's over here spray waxing it, trying to get some of the road grime off and stuff like that. How's it going, bud? Looking good. Didn't really go through any rain or anything like that. Just the usual grime. And get it cleaned up, get my stuff out of it. Really excited for Chris and his family to get here. They're going to be here in about an hour and a half, actually. And like I say, we're going to set them up with VIP. There'll be a crossover in those tents. They'll get to walk the track, hang out with us, go through the pits, all of that. We'll try to take care of their food and beverages while they're here as well. Enjoy the show, and then they can take the GTO home and enjoy that. And like I say, on their own time, when they're ready, they can show the owner. I got some surprises here in the car when Chris gets here. Hopefully he likes them. We'll see what happens. But they should be here pretty soon. Hey fellers, it's the following day at Cletus and Cars, and I messed up. Got really late last night. Got busy with the burnout competition and tear down afterwards, and my schedule just didn't align with Chris's very well. He had to go. So unfortunately I missed him leaving. I did get to show him the GTO. He loved it. He appreciated everything, all the time and detail and effort we put in there. His kids were loving it. They were playing football with our kids and hanging out, kind of like a car show. Lots of folks coming up, talking to him about the GTO, and it just made my heart really happy. Gave him the original build sheet. We also found a stuffed animal under one of the seats when we were doing the interior, and he mentioned that it had to have belonged to him probably, or that his mom kept some of those in the car. And then there were some hand controls that were also in the car. If they wanted to use the hand controls at a later date, I didn't install them, but we're all in a box and a kit in the back seat there. Those hand controls were actually donated by Robert from AVM Mobility. He's actually out of Florida, and he's a subscriber and was watching, and he said, look, let's just get them what they need just in case they want to set the car up. And I thought that was really, really cool. So thank you to them. And he also said if they needed help setting it up, they could reach out to him. So big thanks. And thank you to everybody else involved in getting that GTO together for the family. What a great experience. It was absolutely my pleasure doing it. And we look forward to doing more of that in the future. Vehicles for Veterans program. We're just getting started with that. I've got a lot of good news coming up, some cool stuff, some projects. So stay tuned for that. But that's going to do it. The GTO made it 800 miles from Tennessee to Florida. Not a lick of problem whatsoever. Thanks guys for watching. Appreciate it very much. I'm very sorry we didn't get to see his reaction, but maybe they'll send us something in the future. I'll be sure to share it with you guys. Thanks. We'll see you soon.